How do I avoid eviction court mistakes? This is a big one because when you make a mistake on a document or something isn't properly filled out, it gets tossed. It either gets tossed or it gets continued, and you got to start all over. And when there's all kinds of different rules and regulations and different judges want to see different things or different scenarios, or you might have some attorneys involved here and there, or tenant advocate attorneys and things like that, you need to have your I's dotted and your T's crossed on all of your documents. So what I would recommend is work with an attorney. The first eviction you go through, work with an attorney throughout the entire process. When you work with that attorney, you can get the right process. You follow them through the process. You have the right documents. You see exactly what they're sending. You might even have to sign some documents, but they make sure it's done correctly through the process. I would say that incorrect notices, incorrect wording, incorrect timing are probably the number one reason that cases will just get dismissed and you have to start over. And that is incredibly frustrating. And so if you work with an attorney on the first one that you've ever done and you're not sure how to do it, then that gives you the blueprint on how to do an eviction, at least as it stands during the time of that eviction. You also want to have keep your documents organized after that. So you have your lease document, you have your ledgers, you have your payment history, you have your notices served like pay or quits. You understand how to fill out the unlawful detainer correctly. You have communication logs, all of that to refer to during this process. You do not want to take eviction in your own hands, meaning like locking out the resident or shutting off utilities or intimidating the resident. That is an absolute no. You might have been able to get away with that decades ago. Absolutely not right now. You're asking for a very serious lawsuit if you try to do that, regardless of how egregious the resident is being in some scenarios where they are squatting or something like that, and they clearly understand they're violating their lease. You still can't do it. You got to follow the law. So speak to an attorney, work with an attorney. Or if you're working with a property manager, thankfully, a full service property manager will take care of everything for you. Now, notice I said, if you work with an attorney first, you're going to get all the blueprint to do an eviction at that point in time. Eviction documents change constantly. The requirements change constantly. There are different things that happen left and right that get either mandated by the government or judges want to see different things, or there's just different things that happen constantly that will cause you to have to restart this process. A property manager that is experienced does this process often, just because it's part of the game. They will run the same process on any delinquency. Doesn't mean they fully go through it and evict everyone, but they know to start that process every time someone is late. They work with tenants, they create payment plans, they do things like this. They care about the resident experience, and we have empathy of what they're dealing with, but we're still starting that legal process. We're not going to delay that. And so along the way of working with the resident, we're still starting that process. So we go through that process all the time. And so when we're going through that process, we know case by case out of hundreds, if not thousands of cases over time, that we need little tweaks in a sentence here or there, or a word here or there on the pay or quit, or how to file the unlawful detainer a little bit differently, or what words to use, such as so-and-so, the resident's name, and any and all occupants, just in case there's other people in the house that may not be listed on that unlawful detainer. So there are numerous things and tricks that we know through our experience that we could do all day long when we need to. That might be a little bit more difficult than a self-managing landlord to tackle once a year when things change so rapidly. So work with an attorney if you need to, hire a property manager, and hopefully you'll be in good hands going that route.